Are you looking for an inspiring listen? Something to motivate you? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Women of the Northwest, where we have conversations with ordinary women leading extraordinary lives. Motivating, inspiring, compelling. Welcome to this episode of Women of the Northwest, Ordinary Women Leading Extraordinary Lives. So glad you're joining me. It has been a while since I've had an interesting person to interview, so I'm kind of excited today to have this privilege to have Beverly Stein here today. She retired in 2016. Let's see how many years that's like, almost 10 years, 11 years, years ago, as a senior fellow at the National Policy Consensus Center in the College of Urban and Public Affairs at Portland State University. There, she served as Director of Oregon Solutions and as a Director of Research and Development. Her focus was on working on projects aimed at addressing poverty, including staffing the Oregon Business Council Poverty Task Force. She also served as the elected chair of the Multnomah County Board of County Commissioners in Portland and as its chief executive from 1993 to 2002. In that position, she administered a government with 5,000 employees, and a $1 billion budget. Multnomah County won the Oregon Quality Award based on the Baldrige criteria in 1999, and Stein was designated by Governing Magazine as Local Official of the Year with Portland Mayor Vera Katz in 96. She's been elected 3 times to serve as the Oregon House of Representatives, worked as a legal aid attorney and in a solo private law practice, and has extensive experience as a strategic planner and facilitator for nonprofit and government organizations. She organized the Tillamook Democracy Project in 2020 to support progressives in local and national elections, and she is currently the president of the Cape Mayors Community Association. Whew. Okay. That's a lot of things. I'm seeing a couple of things that we overlap. Homeless, nonprofits, caring about people, full democracy. So tell us about you. What are the things that motivate you or have motivated you to dig your fingers into some of these things?
Well, I think it really started when I got involved in the women's movement in 1970. I was a smart girl and I didn't feel like I fit in. And when the women's movement appeared on the scene, I was just out of college. I had gone to college at Berkeley. And I realized that there was nothing wrong with me. It was something wrong with society that made me feel like I didn't fit because I was a smart girl and was trying to do things. So that just in sort of, I had a passion for then making change in the world for women, which then extended later to making change for everybody. So it just started like that. And then I ended up going to law school to be a women's rights lawyer. But in law school, I kind of expanded my thinking to, hey, I should be concerned with the rights of all people. And so it just went on from there. I don't know how much more you want to know. I can give you the whole story, but
Yeah. And I suppose that each little step of the way encouraged you because you wouldn't have kept going on it, right? And splintered off into other areas.
yeah, the thread that goes through everything I've done since 1970 is really for over 50 years, I've been a community organizer. That's what really motivates me. And in everything I've done, I've applied sort of my skills in community organizing. When I was in the legislature, I would do what many didn't do. A principle, which is just go meet with everybody and try to persuade them to adopt whatever I was pushing at that point. Those individual contacts is something as one of the basic principles of community organizing. So that's all I've done. And now currently I work with Indivisible here in Tillamook County, and I've organized community resistance teams in 8 communities here. Because again, I think it's important to not just do protests, they're very important, but also to do organizing at the local level to get people engaged for the long haul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so as you're doing that, are you doing some like workshops with people or things, or just, how to do like feet on the ground, kind of what works and how to's?
Well, I have taught a couple classes at the community college here in Tillamook. I live on Cape Mears near Tillamook on facilitation, which is another skill that's important for community organizers. But mostly I support the indivisible leaders, and I convene the co-conveners we have for each of our community resistance teams on a monthly basis and support them in every way I can. Right now, we're all organizing house parties for a local woman who's running for re-election as county commissioner against a MAGA person. And so that's the activity. And I help, I send people out the sign-up sheet and the script and how to invite people and how to make sure people come and those kinds of things.
I think you did hit on something really important, and that is building relationships. Because just reading something, just having a post, just seeing some social something, some kind of whatever, just doesn't do it until you actually have a conversation with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what we've found the power of these community resistance teams are. They're locally based, according to your neighborhood, basically. And people getting to know each other makes them feel part of something. And we know that, fighting for democracy and the rule of law is going to require long-term effort. And so it's important that people develop relationships so they feel connected to people and feel supported to keep doing the work that we're going to need to do for years. I mean, it's, a lot of this work I did many years ago. I mean, the fact that, my first effort was around abortion rights. And now we're back again having to defend women. So it's challenging. I still do it because I can't help myself. I keep wanting to change the world. But I have to say, it's a little discouraging that I've been doing it for 50 years and I feel like we're going backwards now. We used to be going forwards.
Yeah. Yeah. What? I had a thought there. Oh, okay. What tips do you have to communicating with people who don't see things the same way you do?
Well, I'm not in the business at this stage in trying to convince people who are really against me. I want to mobilize the people that want to make change. So there are others that take that up, and there are a lot of forums for, engaging in civil conversations, but that's just not my work. My work is to organize people, to motivate them, and to get them into action to make a difference. So that's just not my thing.
Yeah. Well, and there is. Everybody's got a different role or different
Exactly.
talent,
And I
I
know,
guess,
yeah, I know, what my highest and best use is. My skills, I want to apply the skills I have.
Mm.
I'm 79 years old, so I feel like part of my job is to help train other people to do what I do. So part of what my thinking is as I do this work is to help other people learn. A few years ago, I organized what we called a campaign school to run people for local offices, for boards and commissions, the fire district and the water board and all that. And I was very proud because at the end of it, I felt like there's about 25 people now who know more about how to run a campaign than when we started this project. So that's another of my focus at this point in my life, is to make sure that I am doing things that help other people learn to do what I'm doing, because I'm not going to be here, in the future.
Exactly, and I think that is our role. A lot of that, I started a chapter of 100 Women Who Care.
I
And
know about that. Yes.
and it's amazing. It's just amazing. But what I find with the nonprofits, a lot of them don't know how to give a presentation. You
Hmm.
have 6 minutes here. What's your who are you? What are you doing? What's important? What's an emotional impact? And what are you gonna do with the money?
Right, right, right. Exactly.
Being able to work with people to kinda train them how to do that is just it's so important, you know?
Well, I learned it's funny because one of the reasons I didn't think I could go to law school early on when my mother was choosing a career for me, was that I was afraid to
Housekeeper?
speak. No, actually, she wanted me to be an architect,
Oh,
but that that I couldn't speak publicly. But when I got involved in the women's movement and started speaking in a group we called Berkeley Women Speakers, went all over the state of California doing karate demonstrations and starting consciousness raising groups and stuff, and giving public testimony sort of about how important this was. It was just like, I can talk because this is so important to me. And then, of course, I honed that being, running for office many times. When you're on the campaign trail, you have to learn how to speak persuasively and succinctly. And so that's a skill that I've developed that I try to also help our young other candidates learn how to do that, because I try to work with a lot of people who are running for office too, since I have so much experience in that arena.
Yeah, and, I mean, as long as you've been doing it, it's like it's easy for you. You've done it enough times, you know how to do it, and you recognize what needs somebody else might need,
Mhm.
you know, you
Yeah.
because you want them to succeed.
Right, exactly. Like when we had people running for office, we'd do practice sessions where we would ask them questions and then we give them critique. And, from my experience, I was able to give them some good feedback. And so, yeah, it's part of me trying to, transmit what I know to others.
Yeah, yeah, trade others and pass it down,
Hmm.
like, we the way to build it is to, strengthen the core, right?
Hmm.
Are you doing any work, currently or with homeless?
I'm not working directly with homeless. The issues of social services has been important to me. When I was in the Oregon legislature, I was on the Committee for Human Services because that's my passion. And so that included issues around homelessness. And then I ran for the position of chair of the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners because the county in Portland does a lot of the social services. And then so that was my passion. So, we had programs for homeless people. But right now, I contribute to the local people. I send my money, but I don't do
Mhm.
actual direct with them right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Another big rabbit hole, right?
Very hard. Yeah.
A never-ending rabbit hole. Just, yeah. What other kind of things are you passionate about?
Well, I'm passionate about art and the importance of art in our lives. Since I've retired, I've had more time. I've always done various kinds of artistic activities over my life, but usually politics took
Mhm.
role. But now that I have more time, I'm a stitch artist, so I do creative embroidery with ribbons and buttons and beads and
Yeah,
all kinds of
yeah.
things.
Fiber
And
artist.
yeah, right, and I've done all and that's how I met my husband, was directing him in a one-man show that he wrote and performed. So I've done some performance art. So, yeah, that's another thing I'm passionate, and the importance of art in our community. I recently participated in creating a quilt called Against Erasure, where 40 women, mostly from Portland, but 3 from here, from Cape Mears, were each assigned 3 words that the Trump administration had banned from federal websites. And we each made a square with those words, and then it was put into a quilt. And we'll be displaying that here in
Also
Multnomah
you.
County.
You can pan
So,
that.
so that was really a fun way of combining my interests of politics and art.
That sounds lovely. Yeah, I love it's kinda like, what is it? In the Revolutionary, and the knitters, knitting people's
Right.
names and things, and codes
Yeah,
things that they're
there's a whole history of women expressing their outrage through the textile arts and embroidery and crocheting and all
because,
that.
I mean, we're just knitting, we're just doing what
Yeah,
we do,
right,
it's just like
right.
the power of the women, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I also do fiber arts, and, well, my mother
great.
was a weaver, and so I grew up around,
Oh,
all
oh,
of that textile arts and that kinda stuff too, and my dad as well, but anyway, yeah, and being creative. Oh, what a you need, when you
mhm.
do things that you're passionate about, but it's becomes, is a stressful situation, creativity is just like brings it all together. It kinda erases that stress and puts you in a place of, you know
Yes, I use it. I mean, the work I do is very detailed, and so it takes a lot of attention. So I listen to music and I do that, and the world dissolves. And I need that sometimes because unfortunately, I read the news and I get upset about what I'm hearing. But when I do my work, my stitch art, I just like go right into that. It's sort of meditative, and so all I pay attention to is what color should I use next, and should I use this paint or that?
I know, isn't it? Yeah, and I like this color, does this go with
Mhm.
that? And it's just like and when it's done, it's just like, yeah.
Right.
So let me just ask you on the creative aspect, are you Do you enjoy more the process or the end product?
Oh, I think I love the process. I mean, I wouldn't do it if I didn't love the process because it's too much work for what I do. But but I also like having it and I experienced this a long time ago when I was doing some sort of collage art with a friend of mine. And it got to the point where we had enough pieces where we had a body of work, and I'd never experienced having a body of work. And we had a show just for our friends. We each invited 25 people who loved us. And I had this show, this was like in the 80s. And so I got the idea of what it was like to have a body of work and wanting to show it. So now I'm starting to show my work that I hadn't thought of doing before. So, yeah, I mean, I'm proud of what I've done, but mostly it's the process because why do it if the process is
Yeah. Yeah.
enjoyable?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think I tend to like the process better than the end
Mhm.
product. Once the end product's done, it's kind of like, okay, you know.
Yeah, right. I just go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and then somebody says, "Oh, it takes so long. Why are you doing it?" It's just like, well, if I'm not doing this, I'm gonna be doing another one. So, like that.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And that part doesn't really matter. Yeah. Can you give any stories of things of how some of the things you've done have impacted individuals?
Well, one of the things I'm very proud of was the work I did in the Oregon legislature. And I initiated a number of projects that still exist today, which make me feel very good because I was in the Oregon legislature in the early 90s. One of them is individual development accounts, which I introduced to the state of Oregon, which are accounts where people who are in poverty can contribute some money to an account and it gets matched by money from the state, and they can use it to buy a first home, get an education, do some fundamental things that increase their assets. The basic principle is that you can't get out of poverty by just spending money. You have to have assets. So, and that program is flourishing, and there's a tax credit for it for people to contribute. Another one was the community development corporations, which were started around the state as a result of my legislation to do affordable housing. And there are now many community development corporations around the state. So that's a couple of the things I've done in the legislature. I'm kind of known for making things happen. So if there's something that we need to make happen, I'm good at making it happen.
And I mean, just as a curiosity, I mean, I know how I think of things, but I mean, how do you decide what you're making happen? Is it just like this? Are you just happen ears open and you hear something and you see it, or what? I mean, how does that work for you?
Well, I like to do things that I believe will actually make a difference, that are evidence based. So, like when I started a project to get people to get out the vote letters, I researched the various ways that you can get letters or postcards to send, around the country to get people out to vote in progressive areas. And I wanted to make sure that they were evidence based, that they actually had done research to show that sending the postcards made a difference. So that's how I landed on postcards to swing states, because they seem to do a really good job of researching and changing their approach according to the evidence they get. So I really like to do things that actually make a difference, not just make me feel good or make other people feel good. So, I'll choose the thing that really works before I'll just do something that seems fun or interesting or whatever.
And do those things like, let's say when you were doing the postcards, was that something you had seen done before? How did that idea come to you for you to start
Well,
doing it?
that's pretty much something that's been around,
Mhm.
sending postcards to get people out to vote for many years. So that was something I knew about. And I did the research to figure out what the best version was. That was all. And then engage people in doing things. I'm someone who seems to be very persuasive to get people to do things. I'm not afraid to call up and ask somebody to do something. I've raised a lot of money when I ran for governor. I raised over $1 million by myself, and I've never been afraid since then. I've never been afraid to raise money. So we had a project here in my community I'm no longer the president of the Cape Mears Community Association, but there was about 200 acres in our community. This is a very small community, like 100 people live here full time. and it was to be logged, and we were able to stop the logging, and it took several years, but I led a project that resulted in buying that property. And we had some additional property, and we sold it to the conservation fund, who ultimately will be selling it to the wildlife refuge here. So that's the kind of thing that, so I raised a lot of money because we needed to. So, but a lot of people are afraid of raising money, but I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. And there again, part of that is building relationships that they're going to know you and they're going to trust you. And so, yeah, she's supporting that. I'll support her because she's supporting that. And, because you take time to look them in the eyes and say, I care about you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I always say the work I do is about, they say for real estate, it's location, location, location. I say it's relationship, relationship, relationship. That's my.
Yeah. I think for me, a lot of times I'm just a channel. It's just like, okay, like with 100 Women, I was on a trip to Ecuador, and a gal that was on our trip seeing Sponsor Kids, and she's from Minnesota. She said, I just went to this amazing organization and blah, 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 blah. And I got, oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. I bet I'm going to do that. And it's like not a lot of work, whatever, but I can facilitate a whole bunch of people.
Right.
To go to that one cause and to make a difference without, yeah, you're a lot the same. I think just that you channeled, you're the channel for things,
Right. Right. Yes. It's, I don't have a whole lot of ego in it. I mean, it was a contradiction because when I ran for office for many years, you do have to put yourself out there, but that was the job. So I put myself out there, but it's a relief now I haven't, been involved in that for 20 years to not have to care about if people give me credit or not, because I needed it then. And that was the job because people needed to know who you were. But now I can just do what I do and do it behind the scenes and whatever,
Oh, the freedom.
I mean, I like being appreciated and I am appreciated, but I don't feel the need to get credit particularly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We are almost at the end of our time. I wanted to ask you, you're mentioning one of the, I want to say this wrong, the bills or something that you got through with people doing credits. How could people find out about that if they didn't know about it?
They can Google Neighborhood Partnership Fund, and the Neighborhood Partnership Fund is is in charge of distributing the individual development account credits and supporting the people who get the money. They have a financial literacy program to go with it so that people can learn how to budget and stuff. And it's really a great program, but not a lot of people know about it. It's been around now for 25 years, but
yeah.
And you get it at this point, you get a 90% tax credit, which is a real benefit.
That's
not
a lot.
Deduction, it's a credit. So, I urge people to check it out. They actually run out of credits. They're now trying to figure out if they should reduce the credits to 80% or something so more people can get in on it.
Wow. Because even 80% would be amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Are there other things that I could link to this podcast that people to know about?
Let's see. Well, I encourage people to get involved in Indivisible. And there's a national Indivisible, and then you can go on their website and find out if there's a local group, which there are Indivisible groups almost everywhere now. So I urge people to get engaged and not be discouraged that somehow we can't make a difference. We can make a difference if we do it together.
Yeah. Yeah. United.
Yes.
United. This has been great, Beverly. Thank you so much for being a part of my show and kind of bringing it to life once more. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, friends, thanks for listening. Feel free to share this episode with anyone you think might be interested. There's a link in the show notes for the neighborhood partnerships. All kinds of great information there. If you're interested in that, take a look. Thanks again. Till next time.